All right, fans, welcome to the first episode of Friends of the Cup. Today with me, I have a very special friend of mine, established New York City, accomplished New York City playwright, Nelson Diaz-Marcano. Hey, Nelson.
What is up, yo? Thank you for having me here today. So glad
Thanks.
to have me in this space.
Thank you for coming. Hey, so let's get right off the bat. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
I'm Nelson, Diaz-Marcano, like he said. I'm a playwright in New York City. I'm a theater maker. I'm an artist. I'm one of the officers of the Latinx Playwright Circle. When theater is up, I'm also the community outreach coordinator for Atlantic, and I just work creating community and art. That's all I do. And since both of them merge together more than people actually think about, I just like to show it up. So that's
Yeah, I mean, the creative process is something that I think we're all a part of. And whether you're a theater maker, comic creator, movie maker, photographer, the creative process is something that's in all of us. And I mean, in ways we can definitely blend and meld them together and everything. So I think that's with this show, that's what I'm trying to show is like, you can be doing something that's not really comic related, but in some way it will influence your life.
Well, I've seen plates of food that are more artistic than plays I see in theater or films I see. Like, I've seen people's work, like, there's nothing more, like, awesome or even sexy than seeing somebody be good at their job. So, like, when you see somebody, like, even if it's a plumber, somebody knows what to do, and you see it, you're like, yo, that is art. That is beautiful. That is your creative process. You may think it's simplified. You may think it's nothing, but I cannot do it. I couldn't even, in my creative mind, I couldn't think about how to create something to fix anything in this house. So, like, for me, it's just, like, that's art that I cannot do. That's not my forte. So, like, you're right. Everything is art. It's just a matter of how you see it. You could follow the formulas, or you could also just do your thing. And, like, that's where art is created. It's like, formulas are there for people that do not need to be creators. Everybody that goes off the rails, the ones that don't fall for it, the ones that just find their own way, those are the artists. And, like, there's one of them that they think about.
Nice. That's very well said. So
there was a grammar problem, but hey guys, this is gonna be a grammatically incorrect show.
We are all about being grammatically incorrect.
Listen, how many of you know two languages? All right. So
that's very, very true. Yo, it's all right. When I edit these, like half the time you see like cuts and stuff. That's just me like refilming stuff that I was like, what did I say? Oh, like I'm just eating words, saying words wrong.
Oh my God, it used to drive me wild from the beginning of my career, mostly because of time in Stony Brook. Everybody was like, oh, you need to get rid of your accent and you don't have your career. You need to be more grammatically conscious. I'm like, yeah, well, 10 years later. Ain't that a lie? Like, I came into America when being ethnic was still like the other, and people were trying more to assimilate than anything else. So through assimilation, I ended up like that. And now I'm trying to, like, take that away and deal with the fact that language is always evolving and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous, and however you speak it is your voice, and your voice is as important as ever. And you can make it heard. Just make sure that you know what you speak of. Just make sure that you're not spreading misinformation, but actually feeding people good content, even if it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about language? Who cares? I mean, I love language. I'm a writer. I'm not supposed to be saying that. I love language, but I love language more when you can manipulate it and make it sound like you. I don't want to see anybody else sounding like, I don't know, Arthur Miller or the people they think playwrights are supposed to be good. I want to hear your voice.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about, I think, language in particular, is that it's how you express yourself. So it doesn't need to be just grammatically correct. You don't need to use just words. So we all communicate in different ways. So
I go from the rhythm. I mean, obviously, especially for all those that know me, how long have I been here? 17 years, Jesus Christ. In the 17 years, you can tell that my English has got better, but ultimately, like, there was a moment I realized that, why do I always need to be the one that has to turn into you? Like, how come you can never come and have a compromise and meet me halfway?
right.
You could find some words you will never know. I mean, we Puerto Ricans are good at making up shit. So
Yeah. True, true. Now, earlier you did mention Stony Brook. For those who don't know, Nelson went to Stony Brook University. I went to Stony Brook
yeah, I
University.
got a sea wolf tattoo right here.
Sea Wolves.
It's not a sea wolf tattoo.
But yeah, no. So that's how I know this this beautiful playwright over here, this master of words, this wordsmith.
I take all of those. Oh, after I say fuck words, I'm the master of it. I am loving it.
All right. So, is there anything in particular these days that you're working on or that you're doing that you just want to put out there?
Nowadays, I'm creating space for other artists to be able to unite. And I mean, I'm trying to foster not the hustling environment that is always there, but I'm trying to like give them space to develop within people that understand them and like develop those relationships too, because I think a lot of artistry is better through collaboration, and collaboration is always better when there's relationships built beyond what you can do for me. It's the how can I uplift you. And I think that when you reach that point is where art gets to the best if it can. Collaborative art get to the best it can. So I'm at the moment, I run a playwrights group every Sunday from 2 to 5. Well, it's more of an organization. And I run the group of actors and things like that. And we read a few plays. Around 15 to 20 people always show up. We do dance parties. I mean, which sounds silly, I know, but like it's a way of being in your room, but being with a lot of people and letting go of all negatives. So just creating that space of places where people can come in and let go of the negative and develop themselves not just as artists, but as humans and as friends, mostly like a family. So that's what I'm working right now in the macro level. But like I'm always writing. I'm writing a two-parter with a theater from Chicago. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna be very LA right now. I got names, I got contacts. Please, it's so hard for me to talk about it now, but seriously, it will show up very soon. I'm very excited about writing this two-parter, even though I have to deal with my grief through my mom's passing. So it's not that fun to write, but it's very therapeutic and very. I mean, I'm enjoying it. So I'm doing that right now. I have this group of people, like the Latinx Playwright Circle, wonderful people. Like we got so many other like groups. I have a group with Gina Femia, Frankie Gonzalez, Lindsay Partnane. We all reunite together and just trying to, just build each other up. That's what I'm doing. Sorry for coming all the way there. What I'm doing is building people up.
No,
I hope I can build myself up too, but I don't know.
no, that's awesome. And I know you said you got like a playwrights group, acting group kind of going on Sundays. If you want to share that, we'll link that later on.
Well, sadly, I cannot share that because it's a Latinx playwright circle, so it's mostly for the members and some guests. But I can always share the dance party, and I can always share our readings. You can come to our readings too, and if you're an actor, we do full-length readings, and we're always looking for actors there too. So I could definitely link you up to. I'm gonna just give them my email.
Yeah.
Just tell them to contact me if you're interested in hearing your words and you're Latinx. Hit me up. You can come into the group, into the playwrights group. It has nothing to do with like race or color. We're just like that's our mission. But if you are an actor or anything else, I got plenty of other stuff that I would love to contact you, hear from you, listen from you, and just to connect, man. Like ultimately, like let's connect. Let's build this community. This community goes sideways, forward, everywhere. Like that's the best part of our community, like those roots just keep going.
So anyone looking to connect into this acting / creative outlet of friends, I will post something down there on how to contact myself or Nelson, and we'll get it to you. Okay. So let's moving on. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to what you said that I wanted to just touch on is the whole thing about this creativity and it being an outlet for release. And I totally agree with what you said. I think when you have any issues, problems, things you want to deal with, always putting it down in some form of creativity is very therapeutic, very releasing. And I think we all write, draw, do stuff based on our experiences. So let those experiences influence your art. Let it be a release for you. Let it be something that helps you push through whatever you're dealing with, as opposed to just eating it up and just keeping it inside.
And a lot of people always say something about like, well, who wants to hear my story? And I say, you will never know if you don't tell it. Honestly, like
Right.
for people of color, many years, people told us that their stories were not worth it. And now we're putting out there. And what was the big, like, slave play was a huge shit. Like, there's all the slave play. Maybe edit this part. No, but seriously, like, there's so many shows out there. Like, your story is worth it. Like, it might not be to anybody else, but if you tell it, it might be worth it to you. You might not even know the part of your stories, all the parts of your story. That's the best part.
Yeah.
You can find out about yourself so much.
Don't be afraid to tell your story. Don't be
No.
afraid. All right. So, all right, let's keep this moving. Have you ever worked on a comic book yourself?
So funny part, yo, it's been how long? Fuck, I'm old. 19 years ago, when I got my first computer, I was already a big fan of comics all my life, and well, like, if you know me, you know that I'm like obsessed. I haven't been keeping up as much in the last 10 years. Didn't need to. Marvel did it for me.
Oh, those movies, man.
All those movies, they just started coming out. It like burned me out. I was like, fuck. I know that there's great runs because I kept seeing the amazing writers getting into like great properties, and me being like, I just can't. But I read comics all my life, and in 2001, I used to actually be part of the forum Middle World, which is probably the most nerdiest place on earth. But I was there for a while, and I wrote a comic. I forget the name of the place. I think it was called No Hope. It was like a website thing. And they let me write, and an artist really loved it, and he put it. I only did it once. It was my first published work. And I had Ed Brubaker actually tell me that I had potential, because he used to like go in there and judge these things. That's when he was starting on Batman back in the day. So imagine me being like, yo, it's Ed Brubaker. Well, was he wrong? 19 years later, I have not touched another comic book in my life. But I love them. I mean, I would love to one day do it. I just like right now, my storytelling technique is theater, but like storytelling evolved, and there's so many places where you can like tell your story that I look forward to one day doing comics. I love them. I read them. Sandman by Neil Gaiman is still one of the most influential pieces of written work for me. Most of my things that I'm really obsessed with writing comes from like screenwriting and comic books. Theater came way later, so that was my basis for my writing for a long time.
And I think what people out there need to realize is there are a lot more outlets. Obviously, it's hard to get into this game, but with the emergence of all the independent labels, like there is a place for you if you can sell yourself or if you can get yourself out there. And even with the internet, why can't you just publish an internet comic? Like, why does it have to be in print? If you want to get your stuff out there, do it. Get your stuff out there, and eventually one day your dream can come true.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like one of the things we do is this is something we love, right? We do this because we love. I mean, nobody does theater, nobody does writing because they're gonna think you're gonna become a millionaire. It's like 1% of you that are gonna become like rich out of this. And in theater, 0.3% of you are gonna become, of us are gonna become rich from it. We do it because we love it, and love is really make us weak, which means that it makes us very vulnerable about things. So it's real hard to show something you love. But like, you don't know who can also love that thing. So like, if you put it out there, you not only will connect to other people in a way that you never will know. You will never know. You like half of the people that read my shit, I don't know them. I don't know her. I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know how I affect them. I hope that I affect them, but I don't know. But you could. And
Right.
that possibility is like mind-blowing. That something that came from your brain and you put down and you show and you put sweat and tears can provoke sweat and tears on somebody else for the same reason. Or maybe not for the same reason. You don't know the dimensions we don't know the dimension we ourselves have. And sometimes we only discover it to the eyes of other people by showing ourselves. And art is a way of showing ourselves.
Right. And I think if you're going to get into whatever creative process, you've got to do it for the love. It's not for a monetary reason, especially in the arts. Like if you think you're going to get into art and make $1 million, ooh. But if you get into it with love and you make 20, 30, $40, you make $2, you're going to enjoy that much more than trying to get into it and hustle for all that money, because you don't make that connection. And a lot of this is about making connections. Like if you look at why Marvel characters are so popular, it's about that connection because they're human, you know? So the more human you are, the more love you put into this, I think the more you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, it's not a game of flexing. People think it's a game of flexing, but it's never been a game of flexing. It's not a game of taking somebody else's spot. It's a game of creating more spots for everybody that is talented and want to go out there to actually do it. And I mean, I say talented because don't get it wrong. This is not still not a dream that you can just do it. No, this takes years, and the craft is unforgiving, but it's so rewarding in ways that you will never understand and probably till you die. But you will get it. Like it's just a matter of giving and putting and expecting. And it sucks because you have to like deal with the reality of life and paying things, paying life and stuff like that. And there is a time that you probably will get paid enough to be able to do all those things as an artist. But you won't never get better if you quit on the first time somebody tells you like, oh, it doesn't work or no. And I see so many people come to New York. Though I was the best actor in some town in Ohio, so they're gonna cast me. And the moment they come in and they don't get the first audition, they go back to that town in Ohio and they like think they're failures. Listen, every freaking body that comes to New York City from somebody else is the biggest thing on their freaking town. You're competing with all those people, so you have to put the time. You have to give them this, to give yourself and expect rejection and taking rejection for you to completely start succeeding. And you can only do that if you dedicate yourself to it. And like, it's not for everybody. Oh my God, it's not for everybody. If I have an advice to do it, if you're thinking about it, run. But if you really love it, yo, sit down.
And I mean, that's the thing about that. That's just life in general. Like you're going to fail, but failure is part of life. Even if you look at it through sports, totally opposite thing than artistic creation. Still artistry in a way. It's kind of a ballet, some
We're talking
sports,
about
but
wrestling.
but I was going to say baseball, right? Those guys can miss the ball 7 out of 10 times, fail 70% of the time, and still be an all-star. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, because the one time can be a home run. He can do the 3 runs that you need.
exactly. Like, so in life, you may fail a bunch, but you only need to hit once. You make that one hit, and you're set. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna explode into another stratosphere.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned you got to talk to Ed Brubaker. Like, how was that personally? What did that do to
I
you,
mean
like
that was
internally?
like 19 years ago, yo. And it was just like messages to each other.
But I
But like,
mean, you must have been like 19
no,
years
are you
ago. You were
kidding
probably a
me? Like
kid. You were like, ah.
I was freaking out. I didn't even understand English that well.
Well, first you were
And
like,
this
what do
guy
you?
is telling me that I promise, and I'm like, I'm 19 years old. So I'm
Right.
like thinking to myself, I'm not even like, yo, I didn't even think theater was. I don't even know what theater was. I mean, I knew what theater was, but like, damn, the year that was actually it was like a few months before I moved to the United States that happened.
Wow.
Still today, I remember it. Like I remember seeing it and being like, oh my God, I can't believe this shit.
Now, yeah,
And
that must be crazy. Ed Brubaker just reaching out. Um, I can't imagine. Like, I'd probably pee my pants or something. Like,
that's for
oh,
real. Like I still do. Like every time somebody like I admire talk to me, and now it happens all the time. It's like you forget whatever you've done and accomplishment, and you turn into that kid that used to look up to them instantly. Like some of these people, every time I see them, it's just like I try not to be, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, who's this? And it's just it triggers things on you in a good way.
That's awesome. And then you said Miller World, which now is like Miller World TV or something. That blew up.
Is that still on?
That blew up real quick.
Oh wait, hold on. Is it still open?
Mark Miller World, yeah. I mean, it's still there. It's still a forum. You can still write on.
Shit,
you can still contact people and post to the forum and all that other stuff.
Hold on.
Check it out.
The first friends I ever made in English, that spoke English, were in Millwall. Oh shit! I didn't know that was still a thing. Anyway,
it still exists. It's still out there.
Oh, wow.
But but that's blown up now. I'm pretty sure now they probably have thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I haven't been on there in a minute.
Before. It was a bunch of nerds, including me. I'm trying to find out what this shit is. But, oh my God, it has a Wikipedia?
Yeah, it blew up. It blew up.
Holy shit.
You're one of the OG Miller World. Maybe your login will still work.
Oh, wow. I did too fast. I
know what you're doing when you're done here.
I have a dance party to host tonight, guys. Cancel. You're seeing this. Cancel. I gotta be a Miller World.
So what comics would you say influenced you in some way, in your writing or in your life, or just in terms of like what are you digging? But I think more important, like, is there anything particularly writer or comic book that like you were like, I like this style, I want to try to incorporate it some way into my work?
Neil Gaiman, Sandman. I loved it from the beginning, but I never. This is the funny part on Neil Gaiman. It's like I never wanted to write like him or anything like that, and then I started writing plays. And at first, I wanted to do what everybody else does, the same that everybody else is doing. But then when I finally started decolonizing my mind, I started getting closer to my roots, and I started loving what people call magical realism and supernatural intervention, all that. I realized that I always wrote a lot like Gaiman, where things otherworldly and worldly just live in the same place like it's nothing, which is basically my realism and urban fantasy. I will say that inspired me a lot. I will say that if you read my work, it's dark. It comes with high stakes and
very dark, but it also has its dark comedic tones at times.
A lot of people sometimes think that they're comedies. They're not. They're like very rarely ever. I don't think have I ever written a comedy? Maybe a 10-minute comedy. I've never written a comedy per se. But I would say that I am more Miracle Man. Had a big impact on me. The same with Swamp Thing. By the time I read Watchmen, I was already a big fan of it. I mean, obviously, Watchmen blew my mind, but Watchmen didn't blow my mind the first time I read it. I was too young for it. When I read it the second time, like, it really hit in. But the first time I was too young and what?
I was going to say, I think either with like Sandman, I don't think I quite grasped it the first time through.
Oh, no, there's Sandman, you grasp it differently every time you read it. I read it every 5 years, and I grasp it completely differently. Your maturity and where you are in life is what you take from it.
I remember when I was a kid, and I was buying from this comic book guy who sold like straight off the street in front of like the Q train in Brooklyn. Yeah. Like he had a table set up. It was amazing. And he would like, I guess I was a little bit more of a nerd or a geek. I was a little bit more studious. I looked like I was smart or whatever, but he was like, here, you might enjoy this. And like gave me Sandman. And I took that shit home and I took it home. And like the next week I came back and he's like, what'd you think of Sandman? I was like, give me my Spider-Man, man. What is this? What is this? I couldn't process it. But eventually, like years later, I grasped it and I was like, oh, damn, I missed out on something. So I had to go back and like get the trades and read it. Like,
oh yeah, I bought the thing when it came out and like the
omnibus.
Collection. What?
Or the collection? The omnibus or the collection?
Yeah, the collection, not the omnibus, the collection. I bought the collection. That's why I read it every 5 years because you have to. It's just, you know what it is? It's a story about storytelling, and it inspired me to do so. And it reminds me why we do this, and I think it's wonderful. I will have to say that other comic books that I love, the Frank Miller Daredevil run, Born Again. Oh,
classic.
That run was, especially Born Again, just incredible. there's so many things to think.
What's
Black Panther,
Black Panther's nice. I will
Spider-Man.
tell you, anytime I go to a con, Daredevil, Frank Miller, one of the most popular things. Everybody's
I
looking
mean,
for it.
it's just
Everybody's
it's
digging for
still
it.
mind blowing in the way that it doesn't get old. Like the art is old, even though it's fantastic, but everything else is just like, I mean, the dialogue sometimes, because comic book used to be wordy as fuck. It's like, hey, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. But besides that, I I still think that work is almost untouchable. The same as Alan Moore, The Killing Joke.
Mm,
I think as a single comic, that's one of the most powerful single comics I ever read. Or Grant Morrison, The Invisibles, which took me like 6 times to understand, and still I read it. Like that's the kind of work that not only just it's cool, but also like because I mean, my favorite Grant Morrison work is honestly his X-Men run, because that shit was balls out amazing. And his Justice League run. But I love his indie stuff. Like his indie stuff fits me in a different way than his entertaining stuff. And I love that. I love that comic books has such a range of telling stories that can do whatever they can that you want. Like that, it's amazing. Even more than movies. Like you
right.
really can do whatever you want with comic books. And it kind of inspired me to try to do whatever the fuck I want with theater. Even though it's a lot harder, but why not?
You
It's not a lack of resources, it's not a lack of creativity that kills theater.
yeah. Yeah. I mean
I lack of resources because they don't have any money. But besides that, let's keep it romantic. Let's keep it romantic.
let's keep it, yeah. Let's not talk about funding.
Nobody wants to be depressed.
But I do like what you're saying about range, because I mean you can go to the movies, the cinema, you can see I mean you could see blockbuster, special effect, overhype, crazy movies, anything Marvel related. Um
But you're
but
still limited by the skills of somebody and the technology. While with drawing, the only limitation is literally the talent of the drawer.
right, who the guy sitting at that table, right? And that's why I think some comics pop off and some don't, because you got a guy sitting there for hours on hours putting his heart into a piece of work, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But the fact that these guys can do that and put that amount of work into it and then put it into the public and go, ooh, I hope you like it. I mean, it just shows their love for it. Like,
You got to. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, because if you don't love it, like I don't
now,
understand what you're doing.
yeah. Now I know you said you mentioned Grant Morrison, and I think in a lot of your work I see some of that, because you're not afraid to go places, and, and Grant is not afraid to go places. Have you seen the show Happy?
I haven't.
Oh,
I know. I heard it's great. I haven't done it. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, but I
I
have a million shows still to watch. So
I would wait till you like finish whatever piece you're working on, because I
yeah.
see some Grant Morrison in you, and I want you to like finish it, so you don't, so it's not like you say, oh, I borrowed that from Grant Morrison. I want you to finish your work, then go watch it and be like, damn, I need to hook up with Grant because we're in the same boat.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I would love, Grant Morrison, if you're hearing this, I would love to hook up. Son. Let's talk. I will not understand you, and you will not understand me, but we might work.
oh man, I remember I ran into Yannick Paquette, who's worked with Grant Morrison on some. He's an artist. He's worked with
Yeah.
Grant Morrison on some things. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Batman Incorporated was one of the projects they worked on. But I was talking to Yannick Paquette. I think I'm saying his name right. Not sure.
You're asking the wrong person to say
Yeah.
something.
But I'm talking to him. He's an artist, really great artist. Check out his work if you can. I'll try to put the correct spelling down in the description. Yeah, down there somewhere. Anyway, and we started talking about Grant, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, I love working with Grant, that elusive unicorn mother effer." Like, he was like, "I work with the guy, and I could barely hook up with him or find him." So, but he's like, when you do hook up and you do find them and you do talk to him, he's like, it's amazing. Like the amount of knowledge and just the things coming out of this guy's mouth and where
He's
his
a magician.
the way his brain works.
He's a wizard. That's the craziest part. Like he considers himself kind of a wizard. Like What? Grant, call me, son. He's not email. Just email me. Let's hook up.
Oh man, amazing.
Actually,
Yeah.
also, Bad Bunny, if you're seeing this, let's hook up. I want to do a musical with you.
Nice. All right. So, I mean, is there anything else you want to touch upon? I think we've gone like we spread the gamut here, but I want to make sure you've hit on any notes you want to hit on and let people out there know anything you want to know, let them know.
I just want people to like be conscious at this moment to take in what's happening. It's not a matter of like, oh, let me hustle and create the next King Lear. Listen, when Shakespeare did King Lear, there was no iPhone, there was no TV. The motherfucker had nothing else to do. Like, of course he's gonna write King Lear. It was either that or talking to his wife, and you know that he actually didn't like it too much. So like, he's literally gonna write King Lear. You don't have to write King Lear. We don't need another King Lear. We need whatever story you have, but ultimately, if this is not the time for your story, it's fine. Like, all I want you to know during this pandemic, like, whatever you are, here, whatever you are, just love as much as you can and realize that there's, like, the best thing that can happen is that when we come out of this, like, that love will remain. Because right now, you need to conserve your energy, your fire, because the revolution is not happening right now. The revolution is not happening at this moment. The revolution is happening when this is over. And if you burn yourself out here, we will not have you when this is over and we have a new world to construct. So rest, develop yourself as a human, do your best as you can, and don't hurry yourself up. Listen to yourself, listen to your body, and listen outside. Meditate if you can. I actually can't, but I have seen so many people that have worked. And ultimately, this is the moment you are able to do whatever you want. And if that's rest, rest. When you marathon, you put rest as part of the training. That's life. Life is a marathon. It's not a motherfucking sprint. So, and that's a line in my place, so don't steal it.
Damn. I don't know what to say to follow that up. Yes, life is a marathon.
Marathon, or you running from the cops. Either way, at one point, you're going to find an alley where you need to catch your breath.
Wow. Well, I don't want to say anything to ruin what you just said.
I ruined it myself.
Yeah, you did. I was trying to like make it so maybe I can edit that out later or something, but we'll leave it in. It's good. It's good
fine, man. Like, why not? See me as I am, people. This is who I am. Like, I stopped code switching a long time ago for interviews. I mean, if I'm gonna meet you, I don't want to have to change who I am. I want to show you who that is. So I stopped doing that. So this is me. So all the good things come with me messing them up.
Oh, man. Well, Nelson, it's been awesome hanging out with you today.
Always a pleasure, Copy. Great. Thank you for having me. Should I call you Copy or William? This is Cop. This is Friends of the Cup. So
Copy. It is Friends of the Cup. Let's stick with the cup.
By the way, that was my best man in my wedding. Just letting you guys know. That's why he's fired. I'm putting me here.
See,
that I was married? Fuck, edit that out.
Damn. Yeah, man. Now people are gonna know you owed me a favor or something for being your best man. Like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, even if I wasn't this man's best man, I would still want him on my show. Wealth of knowledge here. Dude has never steered me wrong. That's a lie.
Okay. That's a lie.
That is a lie. But
if I steer you with me at one point, I definitely have steered you wrong. Thank God I grew up.
He steered you wrong, but it's life lessons. You learn from them. We learn from life. If you think
we're still alive.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining me on Cup of Comics. This has been Friends of the Cup. I just want to leave you with one thing, guys. When we think about creation, when we think about art, when we think about comics, I think a lot of times these days we think about the monetary aspect of it. And this is not about money. This is about experience. This is about love. This is about community. So let's not make this about what comic I have, how much I can sell it for, what is this value. Let's not place value or worth on anything in particular. Let's place value on love, creation, and doing what we do. So I'm going to do what I do. You do what you do. And let's do what we do. Love y'all. And I love you, Nelson.
I love you, Kobe.
What is your profession?
All right, everybody. Peace out.